Welcome back, Islanders. I'm Sweet Tea, and today we're going to talk about our must starts and our must sit your ass on the bench. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it with our must starts. And I got three gems for you guys this week for week 6. And it's going to start off with Justin Fields. That's right. He's the number 3 rated fantasy quarterback through 5 weeks. He's only thrown for 11 tutties, over 1,100 yards passing. And let's talk about the fact that he's doing it with his arm. He's not doing it rushing like everybody talks about. He's making all the haters cry. He has less than 200 yards rushing. Yeah, that doesn't mean a lot for your fantasy because obviously you want to have him do a little bit of both, balance it out so you can get more fantasy points. But let's face it, guys, he's got over 100 fantasy points for you already if you're one of those owners. So going forward, look, all I'm going to say is we're seeing a trend. I'm going to throw a little caution to the wind this week, and I'm going to throw Justin Fields as my must start. Number 2, it's number 2, DJ Moore. He is the number 4 rated fantasy wide receiver through 5 weeks. He has 110 fantasy points, 531 yards receiving, and 5 tutties. Should have been 6 with that controversial call. I'm going to tell you guys, that was not him stepping out of bounds. So he should have had 6 tutties already. Look, the guy's halfway to 1,000 yards receiving, and what? We're only 5 weeks in. So if Fields and DJ Moore continue to be just lighting up the league and putting everybody on notice, and they keep this trend going, it's going to be electric, guys. So if you have any part of those two, you have to start them. I don't care where you start them, but you must and have to start them. And last but not least is Adam Thielen. He's the number 10 fantasy wide receiver through 5 weeks. I got to say, he's got 98 fantasy points, 394 yards receiving, not electrics, not lighting up everything, but he's got 3 tutties. He's on a bad team, and he's a security blanket for Bryce Young. Think about it this way, guys. The Panthers are bad. They're not a good team, but they're always playing down. So no matter what, these guys have got to throw the ball. And Adam Thielen, for whatever reason, old man Thielen is the guy there. None of the other receivers have stepped up. None of these guys are taking over. And Thielen is the guy over there. No matter who's throwing to him, he's going to get his. So I got to tell you guys, Adam Thielen must start. All right, so that takes care of your must start. So let's get into your must sit those asses down on the bench. You want no part of these guys. I only got 2 of them for you this week, only because, there's been a lot of guys balling out. There's a lot of guys hurt, a lot of ballers that are hurt. And, so Bombo and I will get into it a little bit later. But right now, I'm going to cover Damien Pierce. Damien Pierce has not had a good start to this season at all. As a matter of fact, he is the epitome of a sophomore slump. In the last 2 games, he's had 44 attempts and he's only had 147 yards rushing and 0 tutties. As a matter of fact, he only has 1 tutty on the year so far, and he averages less than 50 yards per game. So at no point should this guy crack your starting lineup at all. I don't care if you're even in a deep league. It doesn't matter. Sit his ass on the bench. As a matter of fact, if you want, just drop him completely. There's a lot of guys that you get out there and fill in a gap. Damien Pierce is just having a bad season so far. We're hoping that he could turn it around. That offense is starting to click. There's a lot going for them in that offense with Nico Collins and CJ Stroud. And it's just a shame that Damien Pierce isn't a part of that because quite honestly, that should be a really good threesome right there. Get it? Threesome. Anyway, guy, Deebo Samuel, the number 16 rated fantasy wide receiver through 5 weeks. He only has 50 fantasy points on the year. That's averaging 10 points per game. It's not a lot, guys. And let's face it, Deebo in this offense, it's just not clicking for him this year, right? He only has 302 yards receiving, 84 yards rushing. In the last 2 games, he's more rusher than receiver. And to be quite honest with you, he's wide receiver 2 on that team. Ayuk and Purdy, their chemistry is undeniable. So really, I want no part of Deebo Samuel right now. Yeah, he's gonna have a few flashes. Yeah, he's gonna, have a game where he's gonna break out. It's Deebo Samuel. But considering where you drafted this guy, I want no part of him in my lineup, at least until he can start proving himself. And that 49ers team is a juggernaut, and they can get it done without him. Quite honestly, they don't need him. And I wouldn't be surprised if after this season, they try to trade him in the offseason just because they don't need him and they don't need that salary. Those guys are facing a lot of issues with their salary cap and, Debo may find himself on another team. So if I were you, I'd even look to trade him, partner him up in a trade and try to get somebody that you're going to really play and that's going to fit in your lineup. He still has some trade value. So I'm just saying right now, I would sit his ass on the bench. All right, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week 6 must start and must sit your ass on the bench. For the Fantasy Island crew, I am Sweet Tea. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do your thing, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.